Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. Today's guest is the hilarious Samantha Skelly. Samantha is an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, best-selling author, and emotional eating expert who has revolutionized the weight loss industry by examining the individual and underlying causes of eating disorders. She is also the author of the best-selling book and podcast, Hungry for Happiness. So let's go and say hello to Samantha. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhide, health coach and personal trainer and founder of highenergygirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Give a woman a fish, feed her for a day. Teach a woman to fish, feed her for a lifetime. Teach a woman to fish, end world hunger. Have you ever wanted to help people improve their health journey? Have you thought about coaching people with a keto lifestyle? Would you like to become an integrative health coach? Well, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, or IIN as we call it, is the largest nutrition school in the country. And in 2011, I graduated from their program and became a health coach. It was completely awesome. We learned over 100 different dietary theories and talk about craziness and confusion. My wish for you is that we can lock arms and create a tribe of health coaches all around the country, all around the world to spread the keto message. If this resonates with you and you would like to look into this option deeper, please go to my blog at highenergygirl.com and click on the link to the right of the homepage. Here you can grab the curriculum guide and see if it inspires you. Since I care so much about my listeners, I negotiated the very best tuition rate for you at IIN. Either you can contact them directly and give them my name, or I will introduce you to a counselor so you can decide if this is a good fit for you and your career goals. Let me know how I can support you in this coaching career opportunity. So Samantha, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you and have this conversation.
Well, I am more excited because I'm a big fan. And so,
you're so sweet.
Well, for the listeners that don't yet know you, maybe there's just a handful, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So where should I start with this one? So I've always been so ruthlessly curious about the world and how humanity operates since like a young age. I remember just being incredibly inquisitive and so into what creates happiness. And it was something that I was like trying to hack from a young age and didn't actually know it. And I grew up in a really amazing family, just wonderful parents, really, really, really great. I grew up as a dancer and an actress. So I was constantly in that world and constantly, had, my face either in a camera or on a stage. So from when I was 18 to 23, I developed a really, really dysfunctional relationship with food and my body. And so I called it my diet depression days. You're reading my book, so you probably have read that part. And it's when I just could not eat like a normal person. I was always constantly thinking about food and thinking about dieting and on and off diets. And it was just this time in my life where I felt so disconnected from myself. I felt like I lost that sense of just like happy-go-lucky, everything's fine, energetics it's just natural within me. And so I began to just like go against myself and berate my body and shame myself and hate myself and all this kind of stuff. And I got to this place where I was like, this is so not who I am. Like, how have I fallen into this place? And I can remember I was walking down the street. I was living in England at the time, and I was walking down the street, and I just thought to myself, like, am I ever going to get back to that place of just happiness where I just feel happy for no reason and I don't have to constantly strive for anything and I just get to feel good with myself and in my body? And I just kept pondering this question of like, what is it like? What has to give for me to get back to this place of just feeling good? And so a couple months later, long story short, I actually ended up getting deported from England because I overstayed my visa, which is, I don't recommend doing that. and I got deported back to Vancouver, which was the biggest blessing in disguise because I got to really dig into what was going on with me and with the whole food and body situation. And I was doing fitness competitions and I was like really trying my best to shame my way to happiness. And like, it's like, well, obviously the size of my body, it has a huge correlation with my happiness, which obviously is not true. So after about 3 years of trying to figure out what makes me happy and what is actually going on, I decided to like really put it together after I saw the contrast between like how bad I felt and how great I felt after I went through that process of healing myself. I kind of like figured it out. Like, what is that? Like, what is that like magic sauce? And a few years later, that's sort of how Hungry for Happiness was born. So it's been a beautiful journey of helping people get back into their bodies and back into their, heart space and, help the relationship they have with food, not through thinking about the food or worrying about the food because nothing to do with food, but through understanding, the difference between an emotional hunger cue, a physical hunger cue, and what our bodies are actually hungry for.
So what do you think was that moment, that epiphany that made you realize, to change your trajectory, to change what you were doing? Was it just coming home or was there a moment in time?
It was actually one of my girlfriends. She took me out for a walk and I thought we were just going to like have a walk and chat and catch up. And she kind of just confronted me and she's like, we all know that you're really struggling with this. Like, let us know if you need help. And I was like, oh my God, people know. And it was this moment of like, shoot, I should probably like, get my shit together.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that happen in college. One of my friends is like, Tracy, you're really blowing it. I'm like, oh shit, you're right. But it was a snap of a finger that somebody to me, the message with that, Samantha, is that we all need to be that friend that can help people. Mm-hmm. So just in love, if you see somebody struggling, just reach out with support,
Yeah, exactly.
So when did you publish Hungry for Happiness?
I published it on my birthday last year. So February 28th, 2017.
And it is a great book.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I laugh out loud because you're so funny. So for the listeners, check out the book. It's a great book.
Thank you so much.
So growing up as a dancer and an actress, you lived in Vancouver the whole time?
I did, yeah. I lived in Vancouver the whole time.
Okay. And knowing what you now know, what advice would you give to that girl?
To just chill out. Stop being so obsessive about everything. I think happiness is actually really easy if we allow it. And so often we create so many structures in place in order to achieve it, and we constantly distance ourselves from it. And what we get to remember is happiness is our natural state. And when we just remove the blocks, remove the stories, remove the beliefs, remove the doubts, that's where we get to settle into this place of happiness. And it is so cliche, but it's not outside of ourselves. It's like, I can make all the money in the world and that's not going to increase or decrease my level of happiness. Like, there's a huge increase in happiness when it relates to money if you're starving and you have no roof over your head, right? But once you have your basic needs met, more money does not make you happier. More trips around the world does not create that sustained happiness. And so it truly is an inside out game. It truly is a coming home to the self in order to truly discover it and feel it and allow it to be sustainable. Because, materialistic things of buying a car, getting a big paycheck, or traveling around the world, those things are like quick hit quick hits of happiness. But that like sustained inner happiness that we all so badly crave, that like felt sense of being comfortable and peace and contentment and safety, is truly a inside job.
Inside job. And how long does it take the average person to turn that around?
You know, it's so interesting. I was having this conversation yesterday with some of my coaches. The biggest lie in the world is time heals, right? Like, that's not true. Like, we can't just like expect time to pass and like eventually we'll be healed one day. It takes work, and it takes intentionality, and it takes us really going to the places that like feel really sticky in order to come out on the other side. And there is no time for that. You know, I mean, time is a mental construct that we created as humans, right? And we're also addicted to time, right? It's like, like, well, how long, you know, it's like, how long until this happens? And it's like, the body's on the journey. Like, we just have to show up and do the work, and the timeline will reveal itself to us. And so, you know, if someone really struggles with binge eating, for instance, and they ask me, how long until I do this? Well, it's like, I don't know that any better than you do. Like, your body knows that. And it depends on the level of intentionality. It depends on the level of like, how much are you showing up? How much are you committing to yourself? How much are you being honest with yourself? And that is how we determine that.
Do you also think maybe, I mean, this is a question because I don't know the answer, but would that also be determined on how ingrained a person, like their behavior is ingrained into their subconscious? Like, would that also determine the level of their healing?
Yeah, you mean as far as like how long they've been, like had these beliefs for?
Yeah. So, for instance, if a person, say a person's like, I don't know, because I think that the happiness can kind of work for all different things, you know. But if a person has so I know your book is talking about the binge eating. So if a person's been doing it for a year versus 10 years. Does that determine how deep it is ingrained into their subconscious that it's harder to break out of?
I got you. Well, binge eating is a byproduct of something so much deeper, right? So it all depends on like what is really driving that thing. If they just suddenly stop binge eating one day, I don't believe that something just happened and then they started binge eating, right? It's kind of like an accumulation of a lot of things. Maybe so I'll give you a perfect example. A lot of women who we deal with are former alcoholics. So they just switch from one vice to the next, but they're not actually addressing the core. So that core wound has been present in their systems for, 20, 30 years, but because they haven't addressed it, they just switch vices. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Totally. They're just trying to cover up the feeling with something else.
Exactly.
Like, is it like numbing out their feelings?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. There's like, we all have addictions, right? I think we all have those things that we need in order to feel safety. And, that meditation could be one of those things for people, right? Addictions or vices or things that make us feel normal. And a lot of the world chooses food. A lot of the world chooses smoking and cigarettes and drinking and social media and sex and gambling and things like that. But we have to recognize, like, what is my relationship to this thing? Is it healthy or is it destructive?
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
So when people read your book, is there, like, I haven't gotten to the end yet. So is there a healing protocol that you offer to help people in your book?
Yeah. So throughout the book, there's exercises and there's journaling exercises and things to reflect on and things to think on. And as you go deeper into the book, those exercises get more clear. And it's really where it starts. Like, the purpose of the book is to give people clarity on like what is actually driving them to use food as a drug, and what are those like stories, beliefs, identities that people are holding on to that is causing them to not be able to use food for health and hunger.
Okay. Yeah, I've gotten to the vision part, like to write your story and all of that. And
cool.
But I just love your humor. I mean, I just can't wait to finish the book. I could devour that book easily. I'm going to be honest. I didn't even go to the gym this morning because I was like, I stayed up so late reading that book and the other one that you recommended.
Oh, The Complete Works. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about that book and why you love it?
It's basically talking about like the universal laws, and it's things that like the reason I love that book is there's nothing to believe in. It's just a universal law. Like it goes through the universal laws around love and connection and abundance and alignment and energy and frequency. It talks a lot about energy and frequency, which is like topics I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And it's just simple. It's like do this and you get this result. Align your thoughts here and you will get this. And it's less about like law of attraction and more about just like the embodiment of like how to truly feel, right? It's so much less about like let me say it and let me logic my way there versus like let me feel it to attract it. So it's like my Bible I was telling you and before we press record. Like I read that book probably like once a year or so just to like refresh my system and remind me what actually matters. I'm actually looking at it right now. It's on my bookshelf.
Yeah, it's a great book. And what I loved is how they said, and I'm sure that since you love the book, you based some of your teaching on it. But I love how they said that if somebody's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be homeless, they talk to themselves like jokingly, and then all of a sudden, next thing they know, they are.
Mm-hmm.
That is really encouraging. Well, not encouraging, but
it just puts things in perspective.
Yeah, it's like be careful of what you think. You know.
Yeah, exactly. It shows us to be totally ruthless with our thoughts and our energies and what we want to welcome in.
Yeah, for sure. So, Samantha, what is your biggest claim to fame? Like, what do people most know you for?
Right now, the food and body conversation, because I've been in that game for nearly 5 years now. So, helping people end binge eating, helping people repair their relationship to food, get out of the diet binge cycle, and reconnecting to their bodies. So, I'm in the process right now of not pivoting, but like enhancing that conversation with my new body of work, which I'm super excited to launch soon. But right now, people best know me for food and body and eating a lot of tacos because I love tacos.
Tacos. Taco Tuesday.
I love it.
Something went down yesterday. I don't know. I saw something on Facebook. I don't watch the news at all just because I find it very depressing and it's not uplifting. So I never know what's happening in the world, which is kind of sad. But I just focus on what I want to know, you know?
Yeah.
But something happened in the news with Taco Tuesday because I saw somebody write something on Facebook about it. And this guy always writes this stuff and I never know what he's talking about because I don't pay attention. So, but
I don't know what that was either. I'm kind of like you as well as I find that so like energy is super important to me. My frequency is super important to me. So I like look at my environment. I'm like, what are the things that increase and deplete me? And the things that deplete me are automatically like, nah, I'm a no for that. I deeply care about social issues and I get behind them, the ones that I truly care about a lot. But like just randomly watching the news just to like fill my brain full of fear and negativity, like I'm a no for that.
Yeah, me too. Nothing like that. Like I just want to be happy and have fun and just keep I can't change anything anyway, so why stress about it?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to get back to your story because this is the whole thing is just helping people overcome and realize that we all have our own stuff. And so you had this whole like relationship with, you just had to be on a diet. You would miss social functions because you didn't want to have to break your diet. And so were you overweight or were you just thinking you were overweight?
Yeah, I just had extreme body dysmorphia. I was no heavier than I am today. But I thought I was double the size, you know? It's like, that's the craziness of the mind, right? The mind can play some serious tricks on us when we allow it or when we, when we go there. So yeah, no, I was not any heavier than I am now. But in my mind, I thought that I was, 200 pounds.
Yeah. I saw a picture, this art exhibit of this it was a picture that somebody drew and it was just like a sketch with like pencil sketch and inside there was a girl looking in the mirror and the person looking in the mirror was very, very, very skinny with bones showing and the mirror reflection was of a very overweight girl. And it was so sad to see that,
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. It's like we are, our perception of so much is so distorted, of like our self-worth, our, our external, beauty that definitely plays into it. And our just how magnificent we are. We just have to constantly, like, we feel like we have to constantly prove ourselves, and we really don't at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And when you just said we have to prove ourselves, one of my favorite quotes is, be who you are and say what you feel, for the people who matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter.
I love that so much.
Dr. Seuss, he has good
So
wisdom.
good. Oh God, he's so good.
So what advice would you tell somebody? So our listeners here, the focus on this show is to give everybody an actionable tip that they can use each week to just take on their life and empower their mind or body or both. What tip would you give our listeners?
Oh, that's a great one. Use your breath. Breathe. Like, your body, if your body's jacked up with anxiety, it's because you're just shallow breathing, and so your body thinks that it's, in danger. Like, I do like breathing exercises like daily to just clear emotionality out of my body. Like, every morning when I wake up, I do a breathing, like just a continual breath. Like, I lay on my back and just in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And I just get the energy moving in my body. Because for me, rest is not actually, sleep for me is not actually peaceful. It's not actually like my mind is going, and like last night I just got like woken up by like a crazy dream, and my body was like full of like anxiety, and so it's not a time for me to. It's not very peaceful, and so I don't want to start my day with the energy from like my dreams. I want to like clear it out and start fresh. And so every morning I just do like a simple breathing exercise to get myself like aligned, to get myself just like clear and centered before I start my day.
Ah, well, that's a good idea. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it's good for your lymphatic system to do breath work.
Yeah.
So
I love breath work so much.
So do you lay there for like 5 minutes or 10 breaths, or what's your exact plan?
Like normally like 5 to 7 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So that's a great actionable tip that people can practice, is just, before you get out of bed, bringing that really great energy into your body and then exhaling all of the junk, right? So that you start your day with a clear head.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, I like that one. Okay, I'm going to do that one. That's going to be my hack for the week.
I love it.
Because even though, you know what it's like? There's all these great healthy habits that we can add into our days, but there's so many that it's hard to add them all.
Right, exactly.
So one thing I like to say is like, try a bunch of different things for a week and see what feels good inside your body, and then adopt it and make that one of your, habits or rituals. And then if it doesn't feel good in your body, then jump onto the next one.
Yeah, exactly. And just like listen to your body and figure out what feels good. Like if meditation is not, feeling good, try breath work. If breath work is not feeling good, try journaling. It's like we don't have to do them all.
Yeah, I know, because that would just take forever. Or even like rotate through them,
Exactly.
Different days, do different things. That way you can kind of see what you love. So with that said, what is your morning routine? So we started with the breath work. What else is in your habit list?
Yeah, so I love either doing like a CrossFit class or yoga class in the morning. I do love doing some meditation, journaling. I love movement as well. So my morning routine is pretty extensive. It's my time before I start my day, where I can just like ground into myself, like feel what's going on, get in touch with my emotions, figure out like my intention for the day. So always starting with like water and lemon and coffee. Sometimes I'm on coffee, sometimes I'm off coffee. Right now I'm kind of going through like kind of phasing it out a little bit. But yeah, just movement, meditation, breath work, a little bit of journaling. Sometimes I pull cards, light candles, incense, just making it like a nice little ritual in the morning before I kick things off.
So do you do that quiet time before or after your workout?
After. Yeah. So I'll do like movement, some sort of movement in the morning, and then I'll have like my reading and meditation time afterwards.
Okay, so how long does that whole ritual take?
Like with the workout or without the workout?
With the workout.
It's about like 2.5 hours.
Okay. That's awesome. I guess
But I also get up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do that. I get up at 10 to 5, go to the gym, do my workout, come home, and then I actually shower right away because I'm so sweaty, and then get started on whatever I'm doing.
I love it. Why do you get up so early? Do you have kids?
No, but I do a boot camp class at 5:30, and I teach at the gym.
Nice.
So it's always the 5:30 class. So I'm either, doing a boot camp type class or I'm lifting weights.
Yeah, the reason I ask is it's like when I go to yoga in the morning, it's like all the moms are like, "This is the only time we can go."
Oh yeah, no, I do have kids. I have 3 kids, but my youngest is 21.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go.
So I just go because I like to get it done. I just, and it's the hardest class at the gym at that time, so it's, it's just the best time to go for me.
I love it. It's nice to get it done in the morning too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because at the end of the day, I have no desire to go to the gym.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah. I just like fill my day up with things. I'm like, oh gosh, can't do it today.
I know, for sure. So getting back to like about you, because I really want this show, Samantha, just to be about you and your experiences, and to show our listeners that, we're all human. And we all have our accomplishments and the things that we can celebrate. And then we all have our mistakes that we've made and we learn from them. So what has your biggest mistake been that you've done? Like what biggest mistake have you made? And then what did you learn from it?
Ooh, that's a good one. Gosh, I feel like I make mistakes constantly all day long.
I know.
And it's like all part of being an entrepreneur. It's all part of like doing this. I think the biggest mistake that I've made recently is investing a whole bunch of money into a coach that was not aligned with my vision and my values, and not listening to my intuition and doing it anyways. I think I get slapped every single time my intuition says one thing and I do another every single time. And so that for me was like, I it cost me a ton of money, and I didn't get a return, and I went against what I knew to be best for me at the time. So yeah, and as far as like mistakes in general, like they're going to come when we start pushing boundaries, whether that's like doing emotional work or doing business or parenting, whatever it is. But the beautiful thing is like we can always have a choice to go into curiosity or judgment. We can always judge ourselves for it and berate ourselves, or we can go, oh, that was interesting. Why did I choose to do that? What part of me made that decision? And we can move through it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you said that, Samantha. I just had that experience. I spent $1,000 on, it's not a coach, but I could call it that. Mm-hmm. And somebody was going to be doing some work for me, but I had to, if I took this on, I would have to sway from a belief. Mm-hmm. And incorporate something that I wasn't 100% sure of. And it just didn't sit right with me. I'd go through these waves of, yes, I got to do this. This is going to help. And then, no, I can't because I don't believe that. And you know what I'm saying? That personal battle. And I was struggling. And so finally, I just found another avenue. And yes, I did waste the money. But you know what? Now I know that I can stick to my guns.
Exactly. It's so important. And it may not make sense, like the path of the intuition may not make sense in the moment, but my goodness, it makes sense later on. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did that.
Oh, yeah. Me too. I'm so thank you for saying that, because that intuition, that voice is there for a reason.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's so great.
I know. We just need to take the time to be quiet and listen.
Absolutely. And honestly, like breath work is so powerful for clearing out, junk in our body, so that voice is more clear.
That's a good thing. Have you heard of the practice of doing some deep breaths before a meal?
Yes. Yeah. Just to get grounded and get centered and just it's basically just like a reconnection back into the body. Like the breath is the best thing that we can use to reconnect mind and body, head and heart. Like it is the connector. And so when we do that, we get to have more of an intelligence of, am I actually hungry? What am I hungry for? What is really going on? Is this emotional? Is this physical? And those answers arise to the top a lot easier versus being in like a jacked up, anxious state and just eating because of whatever reason.
Yeah. So one thing I say to clients is before you grab the food, make sure that you're really hungry. And if you're not feeling those physical feelings of hunger, what are you feeling? What else is going on inside of you?
Mm-hmm. And that's where the beautiful exploration gets to start, of like really listening and really asking ourselves, like, what's happening in my body right now? What's driving this hunger?
Yeah. And is food really going to be the thing that satisfies you?
Yeah.
You know, or do you need a friend? I mean, there's something else going on. So I wrote a book a long time ago called No Frickin' Way, WEIGH. And
I love
that. Yeah, well, it was one of those self-published books, and it was pretty funny. It was 21 days to ditch the diet, crowd out the crap, and love yourself to health.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was like, I think it was 2014 that I wrote that. But it was, I don't even know why I'm telling you this. Something you just said, and I've already lost it. Okay, there you go. BB brain. Okay,
I love it.
Let's go through this quick little speed round of just fun questions, fun facts about Samantha Skelly. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, what's your favorite habit?
Oh, that's a great question. Like a good habit or a bad habit? I'm just kidding. My favorite habit. Oh my gosh. Why am I'm drawing a blank. I'm like, so many things are coming to my mind, actually. I would say my favorite habit is being in the water, wake surfing. Is that a habit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a hobby, but that sounds good. What about the most used quote? Like, what quote do you chew on?
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And what are you most grateful for?
Right in this moment, I'm most grateful for my community, my friends. I've had like a pretty challenging like health week this week. Just my body's been a little bit funky, and it just like amazes me how supported I am by my boyfriend and my family and my friends and my teammates and things like that. It's been amazing.
Oh, that's good. That's love. Mm-hmm. And your favorite food?
Tacos.
I knew you were going to say that. And what about your favorite book?
I would say The Complete Works, quite honestly. It is truly the best.
Okay, we'll put a link to that in the show notes because that was a really good one, as well as a link to your book. Awesome. Guilty pleasure.
Ooh. Like tons and tons of like really yummy buttery popcorn. And like a really just crappy Netflix special.
Oh, how funny. My thing was popcorn at the movies and Diet Coke, which I never do either unless I'm at the movies. So
that's so funny. I know. There's something about the movies that like everything goes out the window. I love it.
All rules.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Right now, tea.
Okay. What kind of tea do you like?
Chai tea. I love chai tea, and I love London fogs, and I love like any kind of like herbal earthy tea.
Yeah, I like chai. It's so flavorful. And Trader Joe's has this really good one in the fall that is very similar to chai, but now in the summer I use it and I make iced tea. It's so good.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a fall harvest thing from Trader Joe's.
Ooh, I want that.
Favorite movie?
The Perfect Storm.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a good one. Check it out.
Okay, I'm gonna. That's why I ask these questions, right? I got to get great ideas. And so you mentioned Netflix. What's your favorite Netflix series?
I'm less about the series and more about comedy, actually. I just love watching comedy. So like Ali Wong's, her specials are just so good.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm going to have to check that out. I need to laugh more. And where can people find you?
So I'm pretty active on Instagram, so at Samantha Skelly. And we also have our Hungry for Happiness Instagram, which is at Hungry for Happiness. And so if you have any questions based on like anything I shared, I'm super active on DM. So send me a DM or through our website is where you can find all the information about everything we offer. So hungryforhappiness.com.
That is awesome. And what is next for you? What have you got in the works?
Ooh, I'm in the process right now of revising my first book to republish it and writing my second book. So, my second book is called Am I There Yet? Why Self-Help Isn't Helping. And, it's talking about, just a lot of the dysfunctionalities in the industry and how we can actually transform through not the destination addiction, but through self-acceptance.
Aw.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a really good. I can't wait to check it out. If it's as good as your first book, it's going to be amazing. Everyone, you got it. Seriously, I mean it. Like, you're hilarious. So that was an awesome read. So is there any words of wisdom you'd like to leave our listeners with, my dear?
Yeah, I think what I've been really learning and embodying, and that's been changing my life recently, is like understanding that our heart is our biggest superpower. And when we cut off our heart space, we cut off so much growth. And transformation happens at the intersection of just like kindness and love and compassion. And it's impossible to shame our way happy or force our way there. And it is about coming back into our body, opening up our heart, being with the parts of us, feeling all of our emotions, loving the part of us that is, hurting. And that's where transformation happens. And so it's less of like a forcing it and more of like just embodying it and just like it's like a softness. That's what I'll leave you guys with.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, my dear. That was really good wisdom to leave our listeners with and actionable advice that we can chew on this week, practice the breath work, and that will be their tip for the week.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show, my dear. You are awesome. And I just look forward to watching, your little practice blossom and just, keeping in touch with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to another awesome episode. Samantha is a delight, and I certainly hope that you apply her action step this week. That is doing breathing work. So in the morning, before you get out of bed, take 5 deep breaths. Bring in all that positive energy and clear out all the negative energy and supercharge your life. For complete show notes, please head on over to highenergygirl.com/show. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend. Head on over to iTunes where you can subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and review. And if you have any guests that you would like us to interview on the show, please email me at tracy@highenergygirl.com. That's Tracy with 2 E's at highenergygirl.com. So go out and make it a great day, girls. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.